This is Natred coming back at you with another beer review. I've got a real special treat for you today, and that treat would of course be the Brewdog Fellowship IPA. This beer is, for some reason and in some way, associated with the IP Lord of the Rings, a series of books which of course requires no introduction. It's one of my favorite books series and of course one of my favorite film franchises. Now this Brewdog Fellowship IPA isn't just like any other IPA, it is a hazy IPA, or an hazy IPA if you like. Now on my channel I know I have gone on some length about my hatred for IPAs, my jihad against IPAs. You could say the epidemic of IPAs is somewhat of a struggle for me. I seem to be one of the few open critics and one of the most vocal salafists against the imperialism of the India Pale Ale. If the world of beers were Kashmir and the India Pale Ale were the Indian government, well then I would definitely be on the Pakistani side of the conflict. But I have to say, hazy IPAs seem to be an exception for me. I've had nothing but positive experiences with hazy IPAs. Over the last year, I'd say, I've probably tried Sam Adams Hazy IPA, the Sierra Nevada Hazy IPA, whatever that's called, and there was some other hazy IPA from some small shithouse brewery in Ohio. I can't fucking think of the name of what it was. But so far, I've had nothing but very positive experiences with hazy IPAs. And this Brewdog Fellowship IPA is certainly no exception. This beer is fantastic. Natred seal of approval for this one. This beer kicks fucking ass. I'm not even exaggerating. I crushed like almost the whole 6-pack. This is the last one. I crushed 5 of these in a row, and it tasted great, every single one of them. It didn't make me feel sick or full or anything. I just crushed one after another. One of the most crushable or shotgunnable IPAs I think I've ever had. Any further elaboration would seem almost redundant because, as I've explained, I fucking love this beer. But, of course, ultimately, duty calls and I must crack this last bad boy open. Now, I mean, seriously, I drank 5 of these in a row, just straight one after another. And this is the last one in the 6-pack. The last one I have. It's a little sad. You might start to see a little tear form in the corner of my eye. It's like the end of an era. Ooh, look at that head. Look at that shitty god-awful fucking pour I just did. Well, don't let my subpar pouring techniques reflect negatively on the beer itself. Now, as mentioned, this is a hazy IPA, and as a result, the beer itself is quite opaque. Unlike Bud Light, the liquid actually manages to prevent light from passing through. The color of the beer kind of reminds me of like seawater. I don't know, like seawater when you get close to the bottom. When the sand in the water is kind of stirred or disturbed and the water becomes sort of cloudy with, that's what it sort of reminds me of, the color of this beer, I mean. Now I realize that's a terrible analogy and it makes the beer look somewhat unappetizing, but just know I mean that in the best way possible. I don't know, it's like a very, very pale, cloudy mango color. Of course it's supposed to look like that. It is a hazy IPA after all. I could be mistaken. I think a hazy IPA is also referred to as a New England IPA. I could be wrong though. I'm gonna need to get a fact check on that one, of course. Now admittedly it does not smell great. It smells about as hoppy as any other IPA does, naturally. But trust me when I say it tastes far better than it smells. Like, so it's a substantial, significant difference. But enough chit chat. Bottoms up, fellas. Yeah, if anything could be considered a light IPA, it would definitely be this. Now, hazy IPAs are, of course, called that because they're very cloudy. And that is because at some point in the process of fermentation or mixture, beer is not filtered, unlike normal IPAs would be. Now, I want to say, as a result of this, the hazy IPA does not last quite as long. Again, I could be wrong about that. The flavor of the hops is very subdued. It's very mild. It's almost kind of rosy and citrusy, the flavor. I mean, honestly, I think filtering IPAs really does a disservice to them. If this much flavor is filtered out of them, why would anyone filter an IPA? It's like they filter out all the good flavor and leave nothing but the swill. remaining. But obviously I quite enjoy this beer, and really the taste demonstration was somewhat superfluous. Obviously I would recommend this beer. I'd recommend this IPA above almost any other IPA I've had so far. Obviously the other day I reviewed a metal band tie-in beer, the High Speed Metal Lager from Three Floyds. In that review I mentioned that band alcohol tie-in products are nothing new. Now you don't often see alcohol tie-ins with, like, I don't know, fantasy stories or fantasy film franchises or whatnot. Even though I do distinctly remember there being sort of like a Game of Thrones wine, limited edition wine series or something like that. I never did try that. And I find it quite peculiar that they would release a Lord of the Rings beer tie-in product or collaboration all of a sudden. I mean, I want to say the last film came out like 19 years ago or some shit. Return of the King, I mean. Not that shitty fucking Hobbit trilogy. It was a fucking travesty. An over-bloated, shitty fuckfest. That's what the Hobbit series was. Now, maybe Brewdog was licensed to release this beer to coincide with the new Amazon series, Rings of Power, or whatever the fuck it's called. A series which I, as a Lord of the Rings fan, refuse to watch, of course. Oh, Lord Jesus! Oh, Jesus! God, I love this beer so fucking much. I want to marry this beer. I'm really not saying that because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan and it has my favorite logo on it or whatever. I legitimately enjoy this beer. It's the best hazy IPA and definitely probably the best IPA in general that I've ever had. It's really good and I would highly recommend it. Get you a 6-pack while they last. I don't know for how long this promotional item is going to be available, so you might want to keep an eye out and see if it's available at your local liquor store. Now, I realize I didn't give a lot of description about the beer itself, but in addition to it being a hazy IPA, the beer clocks in at a very low 5%, just 5 flat alcohol by volume. As mentioned, it was released by Brewdog, which is not a brewery that I'm particularly familiar with. Now, I have had one of their other beers, the Choco Libre Nitro Stout, or where the fuck it was. I have had that, and if you like watered down Guinness knockoffs, then yeah, sure, go with that beer. Hopefully you realize I don't have any loyalty to this particular brewery. I heard Brewdog hails from Scotland. Apparently they have a subsidiary location there in Winchester, Ohio. I seem to review a lot of beers from Ohio. I find it weird too, honestly. Like, who'd have thought Ohio would be the king of beers, which I don't really think they are. I think that title actually belongs to Indiana, if I'm being honest. Yeah, this is an officially licensed New Line production tie-in product, which just makes it even stranger. Like, is the Amazon IP now in the hands of Amazon, or is it still in the hand of New Line Cinema? New Line Cinema is definitely on the can. I find it very strange. But regardless, those are my thoughts on the Brewdog Fellowship IPA. I have been Natred, and I will see you all in the next video.